Call of Duty World at War is a first-person military shooter developed by Treyarch, released in 2008, making me feel really old. It is the fifth entry into the series and the fourth to be set during World War II. This game focused on the Eastern Pacific fronts. I won't be talking about the multiplayer, but I remember it being pretty good. So let's talk about the gameplay. You will be playing as a soldier in both America and Soviet armies, switching between them every 3 missions. The American story will be about you taking on the Japanese, mostly with a flamethrower. Your main teammate will be Jack Bauer, who gives you a great gruff performance where he shouts at you to do shit, and that there are enemies in the trees. The Soviet mission will be joined by the best character in the game, Reznov, voiced by Sirius Black, whilst you try to take down the Nazis. Gary Oldman gives an excellent performance where he shouts at you to do shit and tells other Russians how great you are. A real comrade. I wish I could say more about the plot and characters, but there really isn't much. Go shoot some Nazis and Japanese is basically what it boils down to. You don't really interact with any other characters and no one really has any development. The performances really carry the story for me. The campaign feels a lot darker and grittier than modern CODs, which I really dig, as you have to be respectful to the actual events. It's a very testosterone-filled game, with which I'm all for. Lots of explosion, everyone shouting, and no random out-of-place people for diversity's sakes. God, I miss the old days. Let's talk about the gameplay. Like, do I need to as a COD game? You know what it is. You run, jump, shoot and dive throughout each mission, killing the bad guys and blowing stuff up. This being one of the older CODs, it feels a bit sluggish compared to the newer entries and took a little getting used to. I had a lot of fun in the Japan levels as enemies will hide in trees and grass and will try to jump you, forcing you to react fast. These are also the missions where you get the flamethrower, which is my favourite weapon in the game. Just tons of fun, has infinite ammo and a generous cooldown. The standout mission being Vendetta, which is the sniper mission in Stalingrad. There isn't much variety in the gameplay except for 2 missions. One where you control a tank and the other where you're in a plane and you control the turrets on it. Both are pretty fun. The tank controls well and the plane mission is very immersive because you have to switch turrets. You actually move through the plane to their side, which I thought was neat. The AI in this game can be pretty hit or miss. Sometimes your allies are helpful and other times it feels like you're doing all the work. The enemies can also be annoying when they throw a grenade. It seems like they just appear on top of you and you don't have long to move. In the last mission especially, it feels like there are just loads of never-ending enemies, and when you try to move up, they are just shooting you from everywhere. You get a radar on the bottom corner to help you find enemies, but it isn't very helpful. The game holds up well graphically for a 2008 game. There is a nice variety of environments throughout the campaign, even if the Soviet missions are mostly grey. The weapon and the explosion sounds are still pretty satisfying. The music is actually a standout for me as it's loud and bombastic. It really gets me going with its rock heavy tracks. It was definitely strange hearing the sounds from the zombies mode during the last few missions though. This was also the COD to introduce the iconic zombies mode. It is so simple compared to how newer zombie maps are, but still a lot of fun. It's still satisfying to try and get high rounds even though I'm shit at it. The music and the iconic sound effects like the laugh and barriers being built instantly bring back memories before I was tired all the time. Overall, I enjoyed World at War. It has a fine but not remarkable campaign, and the zombies mode is still enjoyable but obviously gets better in later entries. I don't think I'm going to have the urge to replay this anytime soon. Now time to rank it. I think unfortunately I'm going to put it last as it's not doing anything stand out compared to the other games on my list. Now go to this time code to be stuck in a loop forever.